What's up, guys? Alan Johnson with the AJ team. And I have been telling everyone, right, that we have to make sure that we are on top of this housing market. It is no longer a season by season. So I got some sellers who are like, hey, when's the best time to put my home on the market? Is it spring? No, we are in a week by week real estate market. It is literally changing by the news cycle, right? So I want to show y'all two things that I'm looking at. I think is be really valuable for a lot of our sellers and a lot of our buyers to understand. So this is MLS, right? And this is the part that most realtors don't even go to, right? So if you haven't bought the book, where's the book? Where's the book? The book's somewhere around here. I'll make sure I get a copy to show you guys. 50 things your real estate agent should tell you, but probably won't. Buy the daggone book because these are the types of things that I write about in the book that most agents don't even think about. They don't even know to think about, right? But one of the things I've talked about is you got to study the market week by week, right? So in our MLS, it has like data that tells us exactly what's going on, right? So a couple of things I'm noticing, right? So if you look, we had a little bit of a pop when it came to showings. But if you notice here, showings went down by 11% if you compare it to a week ago. Why did they go down 11%? Spring break, right? Could have been it. Number two, war, gas, interest rates. We like literally watching this week by week matters, right? And the other thing that's a really big deal, especially for our sellers, if you look, if you compare to a year ago, there are 30% more canceled listings. And if you look, there's 11% more if you compared it to last week. So if you are a seller out there, this is a number you have to be keenly aware of because there are a lot of sellers that are putting their home on the market and they're not successful. So they're pulling their home off the market. 30% is a big number, right? And then the other number that I'm watching is showings, right? So when we're talking to sellers, like you can look at a house in a neighborhood and tell how long it should take to sell a home, right? So some neighborhoods, I'm having conversations, like there's a condo that we have um, close to courts. It's not in courts, but close to courts. And if you notice, if you just look at the numbers, on average, it's taking 45 days to get a contract. Unless you price your home 10% less than the market, that's the only way you're going to beat that timeline. Or if you put extra 10,000 into updates, that's the only way you're going to beat the timeline. We got a house in Lake Ridge. Same thing. If you look at single family houses in this price range, the price range we have, right, it's taking 21 days on average to get a contract. You just don't beat the market's not, you can't push the market unless you drop your price or do a lot of updates, right? But the thing that I'm watching are the showings, right? Are buyers out there looking? And if you notice, this is from 2026. This is week by week. There was a downtick, right? A pretty significant downtick in the buyers that were out looking at properties, right? But if you look in 2026, 2022, we had the same down, right? The same pullback. If you look in 2023, we had the same pullback. If you look in 2024 and 2025, we had the same pullback. The key is, are we going to get the bounce back, right? And that is dictated by a lot of factors here in the area. So, I could get a little bit more, nerdy with these stats, but this is a really good like idea for anyone who's thinking about buying. And if you want to kind of take advantage of the market, these types of things are important to understand. If you're a seller and you want to move and your agent's not going through these types of things with you, then they're not preparing you for what's to come, right? And I was one of the few agents 3 years ago that said that the market was going to pull back, and it did. I was one of the few agents 3 years ago that said that the interest rates are going to get above 5.5%, and they did, right? Now, how we got there, it was weird, dude up top. We're not going to talk about that. Hope you guys went out and voted. But, this area was doged. This area has exorbitant gas prices. Prices were already pretty high. Consumer sentiment, like it's a lot of things that are putting a lot of pressure on the DMV market. Homes that people bought in 2020, in 2019, 2020, 2021, they didn't get inspections. There's a lot of factors that are going on that are making our market extremely difficult to navigate, right? So if you have any questions, you think about selling, let us know. If you're thinking about buying, let us know. We can sit down and talk to you about the things that we're seeing in your macro market, micro market. But yeah, it's hang on, right? As they say, buckle up, buttercup, because it's about to get dicey around here when it comes to the housing market. All right. Alan Johnson with the AJ team. You have the dream, we have the address. See you soon.